Have you ever stopped to think about what the last number of your birth year might reveal about your death? Maybe you've brushed off ideas like that before, thinking they were just myths or superstitions. But let me tell you, in the teachings of Buddhism, everything is connected. Your actions, your thoughts, your habits, and even the patterns of the universe all play a role in shaping the end of your life. It's not random. It's not by chance. There's a deeper meaning to it all, and the time to understand that is now, before it's too late. Buddhism isn't just a philosophy for monks or something distant and abstract. No, it's much more than that. It is a profound way of understanding the nature of life, death, and rebirth, and it's something you can apply to your own life in a very real way. The answers that Buddhism provides are not only philosophical, they are practical. They show you how the way you live right now, the choices you make in this moment, will directly affect how your life will end. And trust me, these choices matter more than you might realize. They shape your karma, they influence your spiritual energy, and they define the kind of peace or lack of peace you will face at the end. But before I ask you to subscribe this channel to receive more interesting content from us, you might wonder, how can Buddhism really answer the questions I have about death? The truth is, Buddhism has been offering guidance on this for thousands of years. It teaches that every action creates a ripple. Every thought, every word, and every deed sets a chain of events in motion. Karma is real. It's not just an abstract idea. It's the law of cause and effect that governs not just your next moment, but your entire life cycle. How you live now will determine how you die, and understanding that simple truth gives you power, real power. I want you to stop whatever you're doing and listen carefully, because I'm warning you, seriously. This isn't a light suggestion. This is something you need to pay attention to. Your strength, your future, your ability to face the end of your life, with peace or with fear. These things are in your hands, and the wisdom of Buddhism is here to guide you. If you ignore this, you're choosing to stay in the dark. But if you listen, really listen, you'll find strength in ways you never thought possible. You'll understand the importance of your choices. You'll be able to look at your life from a higher perspective, and you will see the path laid out before you, clearer than ever before. This is not about fear-mongering or trying to scare you. It's about awakening you to the reality of life. And once you see that reality, you will be stronger. You will know how to shape your destiny, not just for the next few years, but for your entire existence. Don't let this chance slip by. If you care about the people around you, your family, your friends, hit like. Share this message with them because they need to hear it too. And let's write together in the comments to affirm this moment. I am glad I am alive and fully healthy. This is your chance to connect with something greater than yourself, to see the truth behind the world as it really is. Buddhism offers you the key to understanding life and death in a way that nothing else can. This is not just about philosophy or ancient teachings. This is about you right now, in this moment. What you do with this knowledge will shape your life and your death. To those whose year of birth ends in the number 0, your death will come by the void of emptiness. Picture this: a life lived in detachment, not the mindful detachment taught by the Buddha, but an emptiness born out of apathy. From your earliest days, you found it difficult to connect with the world around you, always feeling like an outsider. Relationships came and went, but you remained indifferent, unconcerned with forging deep connections. Life felt like a passing blur, a series of events that never truly mattered, as if everything you did was just another mark on a meaningless timeline. You worked a job you didn't care for, simply because it paid the bills. Days bled into weeks, weeks into years, and yet nothing changed. There were no ambitions to strive for, no loves that truly touched your heart, no purpose that made each morning feel different from the last. You withdrew further, avoiding people because they drained you, staying away from commitments because they weighed too heavily on your spirit. Slowly, without even realizing it, you started to fade. As the years went by, the sense of emptiness deepened. You turned to distractions, television, meaningless hobbies, anything to pass the time, but nothing filled the void. It wasn't even a conscious sadness, just an empty numbness that permeated everything you did. The laughter of others felt distant, like something you couldn't quite touch. The warmth of the sun, the scent of the earth after rain, the simple joys of existence, all of it lost its meaning, slipping through your fingers like sand. Eventually, you found yourself completely alone, having driven away the few people who tried to stay. You chose solitude because it was easier than trying to engage, easier than pretending you cared. The walls of your room became your world, a narrow, confined space that reflected the boundaries of your own spirit. Days passed where you didn't speak to another soul. The phone calls stopped, the knocks on the door ceased, and the silence became your only companion. Then came the end. It wasn't dramatic, nor was it painful. It was simply the culmination of all those empty days, all the choices you made to stay apart from life. One night, as you lay in bed, you felt an overwhelming fatigue, a deep exhaustion that wasn't just of the body but of the spirit. It was as if your soul, having found no reason to stay, finally decided it was time to leave. There was no struggle, no fight, just a slow slipping away, like a candle that burns out, leaving nothing but darkness behind. To those born in a year ending with the number 1, your fate is that of the lonely wanderer. You will meet your end alone, upon a mountain path, far from the warmth and care of others, for your journey has always been one of solitary ambition. This is your story, shaped by the choices of your past, by the karma you have cultivated in this life. You have always walked alone, haven't you? From a young age, you sought independence, craving the recognition that comes from standing apart, from proving that you can achieve without relying on anyone else. You valued your autonomy above all else, believing that the weight of connection, the bonds of friendship and family, were hindrances to your goals. You climbed not just metaphorically, but literally. You found solace in the mountains, in paths where few dared to tread, paths where the air grew thin and the world seemed small beneath your feet. The years went by, and with each passing season, your steps took you further from the homes of others. The people who tried to get close, you left behind, brushing them off as distractions from your higher purpose. You prided yourself on this detachment, this ability to push forward without the burden of others holding you back. And yet, with each person left behind, with each friend you turned away, your heart grew colder, your spirit more isolated. One day in the twilight of your life, you embarked on a journey up a steep and remote mountain. The path was treacherous, covered with loose stones and narrow ledges, but you were determined to conquer it, to prove once more that you were beyond the reach of fear, beyond the need for anyone else. There was no one to see you off, no one to share your excitement, only the silence of the early dawn and the sharp, biting wind. You believed this silence was your ally, that it was proof of your strength. Higher and higher you climbed, each step taking you further from the safety of the world below. The landscape became barren, the air cold and thin, but still you pressed on. There was no thought of turning back. You had always been the one to finish what you started, no matter the cost. The solitude, which once seemed like a mark of power, now surrounded you like an endless void, an emptiness that stretched across the horizon and echoed in the silence of your own breath. Then it happened, as it was destined to. A slip of the foot, a rock that gave way beneath you, a misjudged step. In that instant, your body lost its balance, and you fell hard against the rocky ground. The pain shot through you, sharp and unforgiving, and you knew, even as you lay there gasping for breath, that there would be no rescue. For those of you whose year of birth ends with the number 2, your death will come from the struggle between dualities. The conflict within you, the constant pulling in different directions, will be the force that ultimately ends your life. You are the ones who live with a foot in 2 worlds, unable to choose one path, unable to find peace between opposing forces. You might live a life where you're always torn between ambition and contentment, between desire and restraint, between love and isolation. This inner tension defines you. You try to balance it all, but deep down you feel the weight of indecision. It gnaws at you. Every choice feels incomplete, every action tainted with hesitation. You live this way for years, thinking you can manage the conflict, thinking you can hold it all together. But as time goes on, this internal struggle begins to manifest in your body. Stress builds, anxiety takes root. You find yourself unable to rest, unable to let go. Your mind is constantly running, pulled between 2 extremes, never still, never at ease. Even as you try to relax, there is always a part of you thinking about what could have been, about the path not taken, about the decisions you couldn't make. One day, the tension reaches its peak. You wake up in the morning with a dull ache in your chest, a pain you ignore at first, thinking it's just another sign of stress, just another consequence of your overworked mind. But as the day goes on, the pain grows. Your heart pounds with the weight of every choice you've made, every regret you carry, every decision you've put off for too long. You try to push through it, thinking you can handle it, as you've always handled the dualities in your life. But your body betrays you. The conflict inside your mind has seeped into your heart, and now it's too late. You clutch your chest as the pain becomes unbearable, as your heart, strained from years of internal battle, finally gives out. The dualities that have defined your life, that have torn you in opposite directions, now pull you down into death. You collapse, alone in your home, perhaps with no one around to help. Your body lies there still as your breath fades. There is no final resolution, no peace, only the sharp ending of a life caught between opposing forces. The struggle between dualities has claimed you, as it always would. For those of you born in a year that ends with the number 3, your death will come because of the triangle of attachment. The story of your end is already written in the patterns of your desires, your need to cling to things that you believe will define you: family, wealth, status. These attachments are the strands that hold your life together, but they will also be the threads that unravel in your final moments. The triangle of attachment is not merely a metaphor. It is the structure of your existence. You live with one hand grasping tightly to your loved ones, desperate to keep them close, believing that their presence gives you worth. The other hand is clutching your wealth, your possessions, the material evidence of your success. And in your heart, you cling to your reputation, the standing you've worked so hard to build in the eyes of others. These 3 forces keep you moving. They drive your decisions, they shape your life, and they will shape your death. One day a fire will break out in your home. Perhaps it will start small, a forgotten candle, an electrical spark, something you didn't think would matter. At first, you will not notice. You will be distracted, surrounded by the things that occupy your mind and your heart, your family, your riches, your social obligations. But when the flames grow, when the smoke begins to fill the air, you will realize the danger. Panic will set in. But even in that moment, your mind will not be focused on survival. Your first instinct will be to save the things you've attached yourself to. You will rush to your family, urging them to follow you, to leave the house, but they hesitate, frozen in fear. You will not leave them behind. They are your world, after all. So you linger, shouting for them to move, to act. Precious moments slip by as the flames grow closer, and still you cannot let go. In the chaos, you remember your wealth. Perhaps it is money hidden in a drawer, priceless heirlooms, the symbols of your success. You'll dart back just for a moment, thinking you can grab them, thinking you can still escape. But every second counts, and every second spent chasing these possessions pulls you deeper into the path of destruction. Your status, too, is on your mind. The image of you as a provider, as someone in control, someone who has everything in hand. You hesitate, unwilling to abandon the life you've built, unwilling to face the reality that in this moment, none of it matters. The flames will be all around you now. Smoke fills your lungs, making it harder to breathe, but still you cling. You cannot let go of these things, not even when the heat burns your skin and the walls begin to collapse. The triangle of attachment has its grip on you as much as you have your grip on it. The desire to save everything you've built, everything you've loved, blinds you to the one thing that truly matters: escape. But you can't see it, not in time. The roof will fall. The fire will consume everything: your home, your wealth. If the last digit of the year you were born is 4, your death will come from a life lived in denial of suffering. You will die because you forgot the 4 noble truths. You have always sought pleasure, always sought escape, believing you could avoid the realities of life. Suffering was something distant to you, something that happened to other people, in other places. You lived as though the world were your playground, indulgent in the fleeting joys of material wealth, physical desires, and temporary satisfaction. It was easier for you this way, easier to forget that life is filled with discomfort, with loss, with pain. You became a master of distraction, filling your days with entertainment, with excess. It was never enough to face reality. And so, one night, after another evening of heavy drinking, of laughter that covered up the cracks in your soul, your body will give out. It will happen quietly. You will feel the weight in your chest, but you will dismiss it as something insignificant, like you always have. You have denied the inevitable truth for so long that you no longer recognize when it's standing right in front of you. You will try to sleep it off. The pain will grow, but your mind, conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs, will tell you it's nothing. You will close your eyes, hoping that in the morning the world will be as carefree as it always was. But this time, you will not wake up. This is how it ends. Quietly, unexpectedly, because you never prepared for it. You denied the first noble truth, that life is suffering, and in doing so you never sought the path to end it. Your death will be a reflection of your life, a life that avoided the difficult truths, that ran from pain, that sought pleasure without understanding its fleeting nature. The 4 noble truths were always there, waiting for you to see them. But you turned away, and now death comes not with fanfare, not with some dramatic catastrophe, but in the soft, suffocating silence of denial. In this final moment, there will be no one around to witness, no one to help. You will be alone, as you were in your avoidance of reality. Your body will be found the next day, still in bed, the remnants of your indulgences scattered around the room, a bottle tipped over, a half-empty glass, a phone still glowing with the distractions that kept you company. Your body will tell the story of a life that never faced suffering, and so suffering came to claim it. If the last digit of your birth year is a 5, then your death will come from the influence of the 5 poisons. ignorance, attachment, aversion, pride, and jealousy. These forces, which shape the very foundation of suffering in the Buddhist teachings, will entwine around your life like a serpent, constricting tighter and tighter until you can no longer breathe. You, born under this number, will live a life shadowed by these poisons. Ignorance will be your constant companion, leading you to make decisions without wisdom, driving you deeper into the illusion that the material world is all that matters. In your pursuit of success, you will attach yourself to objects and people, believing that they can fill the void inside. But attachment, like a hungry ghost, is never satisfied. You will want more, always more, never recognizing that what you truly seek cannot be found in possessions or relationships. Aversion will turn your heart cold. You will push away those who love you, fearing vulnerability, fearing loss. The world, in your eyes, will be filled with enemies, people who seek to undermine you, to steal from you, to harm you. Each interaction will be a battle, each person a potential threat. And so you will isolate yourself, believing this distance will protect you, but it will only deepen the cracks in your spirit. Pride will blind you to your own faults. You will see yourself as above others, a person deserving of respect and admiration, but never truly acknowledging the harm you cause in your pursuit of recognition. You will stand tall in the crowd, your head held high, but inside your soul will be eroding, hollowed out by the ego you've nurtured. And those around you, those who once stood by your side, will quietly walk away, leaving you alone with your false sense of superiority. Jealousy, the final poison, will be your undoing. You will see others rise, succeed, and achieve what you crave. Their happiness will ignite a fire within you, not of inspiration but of resentment. You will want what they have, feel bitterness over their fortune, their happiness, their peace. And this jealousy will fester inside you like a disease, spreading into every corner of your mind, making you restless, irritable, and anxious. No achievement of your own will ever be enough. No moment of triumph will ever satisfy, because you will always be looking at someone else's life, wishing it was yours. This is how you will die, not by a single act of violence, not by accident or fate, but slowly, gradually, as these poisons eat away at your body and mind. The stress, the anger, the dissatisfaction will weigh heavily on you, straining your heart. You will feel it tightening in your chest one day, a sharp pain, a sign that the end is near. But even then you won't stop. You'll push on, still chasing the illusions that have defined your life. For those of you whose birth year ends in the number 6, your story is tied to the illusion of control. It's a common thread among those who believe that they can bend the world to their will, that they are somehow exempt from the rules that govern the rest of us. You think you can escape suffering, manipulate fate, that you're the master of your own destiny. But the truth, as taught by the Buddha, is that no one escapes the law of karma. You've always been a risk-taker. From a young age, you were drawn to the thrill of testing boundaries, driving too fast, making impulsive decisions, laughing in the face of danger. In your mind, control was never something you needed to worry about because you believed you always had it. You liked to play with fate, to push the limits, and your confidence grew with every moment that you walked away unscathed. Life, you believed, was something you could manipulate, something you could outsmart. But karma, the force that governs the balance of the universe, watches silently. Every time you took a shortcut in life, every time you turned a blind eye to the consequences of your actions, a small debt was added to the balance sheet of your existence. It was an unseen weight, a burden you chose to ignore. But karma never forgets, and debts must be repaid. The day of your death starts like any other. There's nothing unusual about it. Clear skies, the sun shining, you're behind the wheel, cruising down a deserted stretch of highway, alone in your car. You feel invincible as the road stretches ahead of you, the lines blurring as you press your foot harder on the gas pedal. You don't worry about speed limits or safety. These rules, like so many others in life, were made for other people but not for you. You laugh, feeling the rush of adrenaline as the car accelerates faster and faster, but control is an illusion. The car is not invincible, just like your body is not invincible, and in the blink of an eye, the road twists, the tires skid, and for the first time in a long time, fear grips your heart. But it's too late. The universe has been waiting for this moment. The car spins out of control, metal crunching, glass shattering, the world outside flipping upside down. You grip the wheel, but nothing you do matters now. Your illusion of control has been stripped away, revealing the fragile truth. You were never in control to begin with. The car crashes. It's violent, sudden. Silence follows. There is no one there to witness your final moments, no one to hear the last breath leave your body. The highway is empty, the sun still shining as if nothing has changed. You lie motionless, trapped in the wreckage as the truth settles in. In this moment, you realize that you are like every other living being, subject to the same laws of existence. The Buddha taught that everything is impermanent, that clinging to the idea of control is like trying to grasp water with your hands. It slips through your fingers, leaving you with nothing. You never controlled the outcome. You were never above the rules. And in the end, your belief that you could escape the consequences only hastened your arrival at this final, unchangeable truth. This is how you die. There is no great lesson to be learned here, no moral to the story. Your life was shaped by the choices you made, and now it ends like this, swift, brutal, and alone. As it was always destined to, the moment you believed that you could outrun karma, that the rules of the universe didn't apply to you. If the last digit of your birth year is 7, your death will come from the realm of sensual desire. This is not a mystical curse, but a consequence of the life you have lived. The story of your end begins with indulgence, with the endless pursuit of pleasure that traps you in the physical world, making you a slave to your own desires. You have always craved more comfort, more luxury, more of the things that stimulate your senses. You built your life around the pursuit of these pleasures, never satisfied with what you had, always searching for the next experience, the next thrill. Whether it was food, drink, or something deeper, you sought fulfillment in the external world, trying to fill a void that never seemed to close. As the years pass, your body begins to break under the strain of excess. The pleasures that once excited you lose their intensity, and you need more stimulation, more indulgence to feel even a shadow of the joy you once chased. You keep pushing the limits, reaching further into the realm of sensual desire. But your body, like all things, is impermanent. It is not built to withstand the abuse of excess for long. Your death will come in an unexpected moment, but it will not be sudden. It will be the result of a lifetime of indulgence, a gradual weakening of the body until it can no longer handle the demands you place on it. Perhaps you will die in the middle of an act of indulgence, too much food, too much alcohol, or too much of something else that once brought you joy, but has now turned into poison. It could happen in a moment of private pleasure, or perhaps in a public place where your pursuit of one last thrill finally claims your life. Your mind, clouded by desire, will not see it coming. You will believe, until the last moment, that there is still time for one more indulgence, that your body can take just a little more. But it cannot. The strain on your heart, on your liver, on your very essence will be too much. You will collapse, your senses overwhelmed by the very pleasures you spent your life chasing. In Buddhist teachings, this is the fate of those consumed by sensual desire. You have lived in the human realm, the realm of desires, and now you will die as a prisoner of it. Your death will not be a release, but a continuation of the suffering that comes from attachment. Even as your body fails, your mind will still reach out, grasping for the pleasures you can no longer experience. This is the destiny for those born with the last digit 7 in their year. You lived for the senses, and your senses will be your downfall. For those of you born in a year that ends with the number 8, the story of your death is written by the infinite cycle of greed. Your life will be one marked by a relentless hunger, not for food, not for basic needs, but for wealth, power, or possessions. You will never know satisfaction. Always wanting more, you will push yourself further, accumulate more than you need, and in the end it will consume you. The cycle begins early, with success. At first, your ambition will seem to be rewarded. Promotions, money, influence, all of these will come your way. You'll tell yourself it's not enough. You'll work longer hours, cut ties with those who stand in the way of your ambitions, and begin to see others as competitors rather than companions. Your family, your friends, even your health will become secondary to this pursuit. The thought of stopping, of having enough, will seem alien to you, and the fear of losing what you've gained will drive you to seek even more. In Buddhist terms, you will have fallen victim to tresena, thirst or craving. This craving is not something that can be quenched with any amount of wealth. The more you gather, the more you will want. This is how greed works. It creates an endless cycle where the fulfillment you seek is never attained, but the desire only grows stronger. Each promotion will feel like a stepping stone to the next. Each acquisition of wealth will leave you hungrier for more, as if the satisfaction you seek is just out of reach. But it's not satisfaction you'll find, it's exhaustion. Over time, your body will start to wear down. Late nights at the office, missed meals, and constant stress will take their toll. You won't notice it at first. You'll ignore the small pains, the lack of sleep, the weakening of your body, because there will always be another deal to close, another goal to reach. The cravings of your mind will blind you to the needs of your body. And then, one night, you will be alone in your office long after everyone else has gone home. It will be quiet, except for the hum of the machines, the clicking of your keyboard. You'll be working late again, trying to squeeze a little more productivity out of the day. You'll glance at the clock and realize it's past midnight, but that won't stop you. There will be a document that needs signing, an email to respond to, a plan to be put into motion. You'll tell yourself you'll rest soon, that there's always time for that later, but there won't be. In the stillness of that empty office, your heart will suddenly give out. No warning, no dramatic moment of realization, just the sudden fatal collapse of a body that has been overworked and neglected for too long. Your wealth will not save you, nor will your power. The money in your bank accounts, the possessions you've surrounded yourself with, the achievements that have defined your life, all of these things will mean nothing in that final moment. You will die alone, surrounded by the tools of your success, but without the one thing that truly mattered: peace. For those of you whose year of birth ends in the number 9, your death will come from the end of accumulation. The path you've walked, the one marked by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, status, or recognition, will ultimately be the cause of your demise. You've spent your life building yourself up, collecting achievements, hoarding information, climbing to the top of whatever intellectual or professional tower you've chosen. But this tower, as you'll come to realize too late, is built on shaky ground. Your end will be quiet, in a room filled with the things you've accumulated, the books you've read, the papers you've written, the objects that were supposed to give your life meaning. You've filled your space with symbols of knowledge and success, yet none of them can stop the weight of time pressing down on your chest. In the end, it's not illness or violence that will claim you, but the slow, steady collapse of your body under the weight of your own ambition. It begins with fatigue, nothing dramatic, just a lingering sense that you are tired in ways that sleep cannot fix. Your health, once reliable, starts to falter. You notice that the energy you once had for intellectual pursuits is fading. Your body no longer moves with the ease it used to. The work, the endless work, begins to grind against you. You push on, though, thinking that one more paper, one more discovery, one more victory will fill the void that's been growing inside you. But that's the trap of the end of accumulation. You've mistaken knowledge for wisdom, and the more you've accumulated, the emptier you've become. The Buddha taught that attachment to anything, whether it's wealth, power, or knowledge, will only lead to suffering. You, born under the sign of the number 9, have ignored this truth. You've spent your life seeking meaning in what you can collect instead of what you can let go of. Death comes quietly, not as a dramatic interruption, but as the final punctuation at the end of a long, meticulously written sentence. You die alone, surrounded by your accumulations, yet none of them can ease your passing. Your final breath is drawn in a room filled with everything you thought mattered, yet in the end, they are just objects, words, ideas, things that could not accompany you on this journey. For those of you born under the number 9, remember this story. You may not see it now, but the end of your life will be a reflection of how you've chosen to live. It won't be grand or violent, but a slow fading as the tower you've built for yourself crumbles, revealing the emptiness at its core. Now that you've heard about how the last digit of your birth year can reveal the story of your death, let's move on to how you can apply this knowledge in your everyday life. So, how can you use this insight? The first step is to recognize the symbolic meaning behind the number associated with your birth year, and understand it as a mirror reflecting certain tendencies or patterns in your life. For instance, if the story connected to your number deals with themes of isolation, it might be a call to evaluate how you are living. Are you pushing others away through your behavior, through pride or fear, or neglecting relationships that once mattered to you? In this case, the lesson is clear. You need to start building bridges instead of walls, reconnecting with people who bring positive energy into your life, and fostering deeper connections that create mutual support. Additionally, it's important to share this knowledge with the people around you, your friends, family, colleagues. Engage them in conversations about these symbolic stories and what they might represent, not just as an abstract exercise, but as a real opportunity for reflection and personal growth. You may ask them what number they were born under, and together you can explore how the corresponding death story reflects patterns or tendencies in their own lives. These discussions could open up deeper conversations about life choices, personal development, and the consequences of our actions. Not only will these conversations help solidify your own understanding, but they will also give others a chance to reflect on their lives in meaningful ways, sparking a collective journey toward more mindful, intentional living. But beyond discussing it with others, you must take the time to reflect on this insight deeply and then act upon it. Contemplation is important, but it is only the first step. If your number's story involves self-destruction, this might serve as a powerful wake-up call to change the habits that are leading you down a destructive path. If you recognize that certain behaviors are harmful, whether it's substance abuse, neglecting your health, or cultivating negative mindsets, now is the time to begin turning that awareness into action. You might start by integrating meditation into your daily routine, using it to clear your mind and build awareness of the choices you make moment by moment. Meditation can be a tool not just for peace, but for transformation, helping you break free from cycles of negative thinking or harmful behavior. For each number and its associated death story, there is an underlying message about how we live our lives, what we prioritize, and how we treat ourselves and others. These are not fatalistic predictions, but symbolic pointers that urge us to make conscious, mindful changes before it's too late. To reflect on these meanings is to open a window into the areas of life that might need attention or realignment. And it's in this process of realignment that the practical value of these stories is found. As you continue to contemplate the meaning behind your number, you will find ways to apply its lessons to your daily life, gradually shifting your actions and intentions toward a path that leads to balance, fulfillment, and peace. If this video helped you, improved your knowledge, leave a like and subscribe buttons to receive more content from us. And please write this affirmation on the comments. I am healthy. Thanks you, God. Share this video. Your interaction not only helps us improve our videos, but also help other people to find answers to questions important for them.